So welcome to this morning's session of the 7-Day Business Fuel Challenge. I am Rebecca Newman, founder and CEO of the Grow Project, a business training and coaching program where we work in particular with women who want to grow businesses and babies at the same time. This week on the 7-Day Business Fuel Challenge, we've been looking at what fuels business and what fuels the individuals and leaders that sit within business. And we've had the wonderful opportunity of chatting with people that provide fuel to individuals and to businesses across a whole range of areas. Now, today, I'm most excited to be speaking to Ani Neraldikova because I think this is something that really can run back to our childhood as far as understanding music and how much fun music is. And the best thing is that Ani can actually explain to us why that is also an incredible fuel source. Ani is a kinesiologist. She is also a recording artist, as well as the creator of Music, Nutrition and True Voice Global. And it's music nutrition we're principally going to talk about today. But I think, Ani, first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. And secondly, I think we better just jump straight into what is kinesiology?
Let's dive right in. Kinesiology is a system to retrain the brain, actually. And so a kinesiologist will use muscles, arms and legs, and really see what the body, your vehicle, is doing to reflect what's going on in the internal energy system and how you're functioning. So using muscles as a biofeedback response, we can check into what your reactivity is to certain things, whether it's food, whether it's sensitivities, whether it's thoughts and emotions. And by being able to access some of the unconscious stuff, we can clear and move really quickly past all the conscious that we might have and dive right into the locus of the point, which is where we only need to tweak things a little bit to create the most profound change.
I think kinesiology is such an amazing, I would use the word modality, and something that I've only had an understanding of in about the last 2.5 years. And I just think the energy systems of the body is a very interesting piece. I think the ability of the body to talk to us is actually incredible and not something I'd thought about beforehand. Can you tell us a bit more about the way the body works and how it is actually communicating with you?
Well, the body is always communicating in terms of sensation and in terms of thought, in terms of what we respond to, and everyone's system is different. So what you react to is going to be different to what I react to, which is really based on the very unique neural network that you're made up of and the very unique neural network that I'm made up of, as well as all the listeners. And so when we want to discover what ticks, what makes one person tick and what makes another person tick, or what makes one person grow and what their fuel is going to be very unique to their system. And so even though we've all got 2 arms, 2 legs, or most of us anyway, have very similar human bodies, what causes dis-ease is very unique. And often, especially the work that I do with people, there is quite an emotional cause of disease. And where there's a large charge in the body and a block somewhere, the more a block becomes very real and very held in time, or the whole neural process is kind of isolating that issue. Just like a pain in the body or an injury becomes isolated, inflamed, and so that it can heal, so do those other issues. And sometimes those issues progress to be actually, disease states that we then need to have surgery to remove, and so on and so forth. So how the body works is we're all still discovering. We only are using a small percentage of our brain, and we currently don't fully have the tools and science to measure everything that's going on. But all the futurists and everything that we've seen with futurists and what they're saying is we're going to be measuring things that we had no idea or we could imagine that we could tell about the body. And I think kinesiology is an amazing tool because you really are tapping into the whole consciousness of a person using arms, legs, the biology. And so it's so powerful. And one of your speakers tapped into the basis of kinesiology, the Chinese medicine. And so we really have that as the basis, the philosophy of how that works. And we use that philosophy combined with the tools from applied chiropractic medicine and the chiropractic sciences to help ascertain really where the structure, the function and the energy of the body is in flow or not in flow.
Wow. I love that as a summary. Tell me a bit more about flow, because I suspect it will lead to some discussion on vibration.
Oh, you suspect correctly. Flow it's all about flow, isn't it? And when we can get out of our own way and be in flow, then more things happen. We can master more things at the same time, and we can get out of those, clucky stages of learning, get into flow and master what we want to do. And so I guess I've got a little chart here that will, represent flow that I just want to share with you. And I guess it's the aim of what I want to do with clients, whether it's through music, whether it's through events, or whether it's through sessions. And so it's to create this sense of this pull. And this is called, I don't know if you can see that. It's the lucid chart.
Awesome. Can we email that out, Ani?
We can definitely email that out.
Awesome.
And once the site is up, which I think it is in the next couple of days, that'll be smack bang in the middle on the front page. And what that really expresses is that for us to be in lucid flow, I guess that's all about having crystal clear creativity and clarity. And so when you don't have doubt, question, powerlessness, guilt, fear, or tension holding you back, you can really be the greatest potential, live your greatest potential. And so the things that stop us from being in flow on an emotional level or an energy level and very physical level as well is feeling powerless, is shame or guilt. And that really keeps us down, our energy quite down, functioning not to the best. So we also, if we're feeling anger, frustration, or doubt in any area, that suppresses our flow. And so it's all about coming to greater expression and getting into flow. And so not being in a war with yourself, in conflict, and all of those things. So the more we can open up, be trusting and open, willing, enthused, have empowered choice, tap into deep peace, feel deep appreciation even for the events in our life that we would maybe judge as terrible. Even if we can find deep appreciation for those things, we can access greater lucid flow, therefore free our brain and glucose energy from being in survival mode, and then we can thrive. And so the less confusion, separation, doubt, and contraction and boredom we have, which is at the bottom of the chart, the more pull we have, unity, inspiration, expansion, and all of the things that you really represent, Beck, and what you're creating with this kind of a project and all the amazing speakers that you have. Because I really believe that so far all of the speeches and the discussions that I've heard reflect everyone creating pull, everyone creating clarity and being inspired and fulfilled in what they do.
Yeah, and I think what you absolutely, and what you do with helping people to be in a state of flow through, I guess, with all the ancient wisdom that you integrate in a simple way, which I think is what has really drawn out of a number of our sessions, is we're talking about a lot of elements that have worked over a long period of time and then bringing them forward in a contemporary way. And what you do really creates focus, reduces stress, and also activates healing in the body. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So in terms of activating healing in the body, reducing stress and creating greater focus, it's all being in presence and practicing presence. And the more that our energy is split on if we have a certain amount of percentage of energy in our day and we are attributing a certain amount of it to the past and the trauma that happened yesterday. Yeah. Therefore, we're losing focus. We're running the story, the emotion, not quite catching up with whatever happened. And we're not really navigating ourselves through that change or that trauma. If our energy is going into the future about what we want to create and we're addicted to success, the next project, never stopping to celebrate, never stopping to acknowledge what we have and who we are, then again, we are splitting a third of our energy into the future, a third of our energy into the past. How much energy do I have if I'm not fully here with you now? And so one of the things around retraining people, the brain, and getting into releasing stress is that the one thing I've found is that we're navigating people through one of three stages of change. And that's really where I would break every person on the planet into. I'll break them down into one of those three categories. We're either avoiding it, so we're either in that space over there and going, didn't happen, or maybe I didn't have the resources or the fuel, which is the buzzword for your topic, or the fuel to actually get back up from that trauma, recover, and find the resources. So there's either avoidance there, we're either and stuck. The other aspect of change that we could find ourselves in is that we are wanting to move forward and wanting to lean in. And if we're leaning in, then that is really where we're getting right up under the wings of change. We're getting right up under being curious about what can I learn from so-and-so. We're not defensive. We're not in a protective position. We're in absolute expansion. And I guess the third phase is that I talked about shock, but one is just simple avoidance. Don't want to know. And there's a lot of people like that too. And what you resist is going to persist, and we'll find that something does happen, and whatever we need to learn or have to grow will end up happening. I really trust life in that way. It will always give you what you need or what we need.
Can you talk about the story a bit more, Ani, and how stories work with our brain? And I know I've heard other conversations and that made me think of when you said story, about the stories we tell ourselves, perhaps, and the impact that has.
Well, story is a really important aspect of it, because it's through stories and storytelling and melody, which is what a story and the melody is a song, is that we can really shift and change. Through a story, we can either, there's benefits and disadvantages to stories. The disadvantage is that we run the same story and we never evolve from that story. So the little girl or the little boy who got left behind, the inner self, the inner child, or the one who was hurt, the one who thought it was safer to shut the heart down. And that's a story, okay? And if we don't evolve from that story, that's the one who's going to be running your show, my show, whatever a show. On the positive, we can rewrite the story and create the story that we do want to live. And so that's just about changing that story and choosing what story you want to be. But using story in a transformative process means that we engage the listener in a way that they can see themselves inside the story. And when we engage with the listener and talk about something that that happened to me, or that song was written for me, and that's when you get the goosebump effect. And then you feel the chorus, and the chorus makes you want to sing it. And then when we sing a chorus together, what happens on a biological level is when we recite a chorus together, we have the oxytocin effect. And the oxytocin effect is that thing that we experience when we have chocolate, eat chocolate, have an orgasm, have when a mother is bonding with her child and breastfeeding, that oxytocin. And so it's that choral of being together, and that has a very transformative effect. So power of story and melody, and within melody there's movement, there's the breath inside all of that. We just have such an amazing power to transform using music consciously and using story consciously.
So my first reconnection, Ani, back to music was actually when I was writing the manuscript for Business Birth Baby, How to Rock the Lot. And it was really interesting. I was following a very cool process that worked really well for me. And it was quite structured. I was writing every day. And I was working in quite focused periods of time. And I found the power of music to connect me back to stories of when I was studying and when I had to be in a particular frame of mind. And I would be writing every day and often posting on Instagram. And I still do it with music, with a track if I'm listening to something on my phone, and I'll post it up. This is what I'm listening to today, and this is what it reminds me of. But I just was blown away by the impact music was having when I was writing. And it's like, okay, what do I feel like listening to today? And then, of course, you and I met, and I met your clients before I actually met you. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you've got to speak to Ani. Ani Neraldikova is amazing, and you need to speak to her. And I became very aware of the work you'd done with them and how you had educated them in a way which they were actually able to pass on your learnings, which I think is always the amazing sign of a very talented teacher. So congratulations.
Cool. I've not heard it in that way before. That sounds awesome. You'll have to tell me who they are.
So But I would like to jump into the music nutrition side of things, because I think it's something really transformative, really simple, really easy. We've tried to debunk some myths over the last couple of days. For example, how simple meditation can be, and why movement helps, how Eastern philosophies and Western philosophies can integrate. This afternoon we're going to talk the depths of yoga and why it's not about prancing ponies or positions. So let's, though, jump into music. So talk to me more about the power of music.
Okay, let me just show you something that I've prepared here. Now, why is music so powerful is because it's the least understood quality that touches every part of the brain. And I just want to show you something this is just from the talk that I did the other day at Sydney Uni. And what we talked about was the power of the auditory system in mental health. And let me just bring this up for you. And it was quite amazing when we brought up, I'll just bring this up really quickly, auditory. I've had it ready here. I just want to show you what happens to the brain and how it looks when using music, pre-music and post-music. So this little diagram shows that in the brain at rest, okay.
Yes.
The brain at rest, right?
Really? Yep.
And then you can see the red part is access to different parts of the brain. Now, you'll find that, which is incredible. I'll just show that to you one more time. You can see,
yeah.
Okay, how amazing is that? Now, it's just that different parts of the brain will be activated. Like if your song has lyrics, then you will access the Wernicke's area and Broca's area. So it'll access the language centers of the brain. And that's particularly useful in helping and moving through Parkinson's, yes? And so and Alzheimer's. So some certain music that brings you back to wartime, for example, will activate the memory centers and help people who have dementia and so on and so forth. But the music activates, stimulates, and uses the entire brain. I mean, that's incredible. So we really don't understand everything that it can do. And so because it does that, it also accesses the emotional centers of the brain and where emotions are blocked and held. Now, frequency is the common thing to all things, light, sound, you and I. And so using certain frequencies will affect us differently.
Can you just explain frequencies?
Let me show you frequencies. So this is a frequency right here, a wave, right? Mm-hmm. That's a frequency. And, or that's a wavelength. And so depending on how fast, high or low pitch that wavelength is, will produce a particular frequency, which is the frequency at which it cycles. Now, it doesn't really matter if we can hear or not. The ability to hear is within each and every one of us. And that's what's amazing, what we discovered through the people who created the cochlear ear implant, recognize that it's the vibrations and the parietal, these bones here, that respond to vibration. So it's bone conduction, so we're constantly receiving sound frequency and being influenced by the world around us. Not just... So
you're essentially saying we have a body, but we are essentially a vibration.
You're a vibration, you're a living receiver of sound. Right. Now, if on another level, a lot of people use words like, God, I really resonate with that, or I'm in sync with that, or she's on my wavelength. And that's really what we are about, because we're connecting as a group of people as we have a common interest, common ideas or interesting ideas and so on and so forth. So we're vibrating, we're riding a particular wave. And so resonance is probably the most important part and aspect of sound. Resonance is the ability to give off a sound or a frequency and produce a sympathetic sound or reaction in the other. So if I sing to you and I touch you with my voice or my story or whatever I'm sharing with you, and you resonate with that, that is the most magical experience. It's incredible. And so what I've learned to explore and discover through how we can use music as nutrition, as a fuel source. Look, we could be talking about this for hours. not everyone's maybe interested in the depth of the science behind it all, and I'm just a closet nerd. But just have a little quick look at as well this frequency and vibration. Anyone heard of Emoto's water? Have you heard of that before? Emoto's water. Emoto's water. He showed that he basically took a cross section of particles of water and how they were affected by certain emotions and by even statements written on a piece of paper. So this is really interesting. The particle of compassion creates this kind of a water particle.
Oh my gosh.
When you have compassion, I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And then when you have the vibration, or you send the energy of I will hurt or kill you, this is what it does to the particle. Which takes me really quickly, because I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to skip to one more little example and video, which is to show you, which is actually called talking about vibration, making sound visible through somatics. Somatics is basically just seeing how sound is affected by vibration. And just so that I can show this to you and the listeners, is that being aware of this might help us in our everyday choose different things, people, projects, environments, sounds on what we really want to be influenced with, and have some more conscious choice around it. We might even apply that in some areas if we're working in open workspaces or hubs, that if we're being affected by language and sound, and it's going to reduce our productivity and focus. We might want to use headphones and put our favorite music on that is more, which is less focused on language and instrumental. For example, like Mozart or Bach. Bach shows high productivity in output and music. So look, there's just so much, but I'll show you this real quick. It'll take me 1 second to load because it fell asleep while we were talking, which is
that
okay.
Wouldn't happen. I think the reason I like to explore the why behind things is that then when people are actually looking to implement something, they actually understand partly why it's going to work, rather than just understanding the concept level. And, you know, as we talk about when we're in the business space talking the Sure laws side of things, we're talking about the ability to go from L1 to L3, which is layer 1 concept through to layer 3 implementation without missing strategy, which is the application to yourself. And I think the why is incredibly powerful there. So I'm very appreciative that before we get on to tactical practical, because it is something, Ani, people can take and they can marry up your music nutrition to an intent that they have, which is part of the simplicity of it.
I agree 100%, and I really love, like I've applied, I love the way the Sure Laws model works, because I've applied, and as you know, I've worked with the coaches as a kinesiologist as well, I've received incredible insight and inside work into my own business. The systems are just incredible. And so the why 100% is super important. So this is just looking at particle of water being affected only through sound in mid-air. So just have a little look at this, and I'll send this link as well.
Perfect.
All right, can you see that? That's just through vibration. Just through vibration. So a droplet being dropped, you can see that?
Yep.
And look at that. Okay, so it's really interesting to see what sound, that's just showing you what sound can do and how the second harmonic is affecting sound, and then the third harmonic affects sound, the harmonic being the interval.
Wow.
The bass note. Look at what's happening. And you can see this really simply. If you were to put granules of sand on a drum, on the skin of a drum, and you place the skin of the drum and you just sing over the particles there. I've done this just here, and you just see what forms, what gets created when you make that sound.
Wow, I love it. What an awesome experiment.
It's just incredible. But putting all this together, and the inner nerd in me thought, well, how can we bring music and just go beyond entertainment and song? How can we, even though I love that performance space because it connects people in a whole different way.
Absolutely.
But how can I make an application or do something that people could use, access really quickly, and know that their whole body is healing and shifting without them having to confront issues, having to confront things, but be aware of them. So I created a system which is called music nutrition. The power of music. These are just some of the influences and books that I've researched and read along the way. This is an amazing book called from Oliver Sacks, Musicophilia, which just shows how different parts of the brain get activated after trauma or being struck by lightning or having surgery, and how it's amazing the tales of music and the brain and what can just become alive. So what's really undiscovered. And this is another amazing book called The Mozart Effect. This one really is amazing for learning children and, again, healing and accessing the brain. But using the music nutrition, we have different scales and sounds, vowel sounds. Each track is like a soundtrack to a different part of the body and a different chakra or energy system. Is there anything particular you want to know about the music?
A sample of the track. I mean, you have very generously offered everybody who's listening a couple of things. One, you've offered to send them a track. And two, you've offered to actually have a free discussion with them about which state they are currently in and gain some insight in how they might be able to navigate forward. But if you could, so for anybody that's not already, please do jump on our challenge page and hit the Count Me In button, and we will email you that detail as well as the lucid chart that Ani's mentioned and those other handouts. Yeah, that one. And then you'll be able to get in contact with Ani, who fortunately is still consulting for now until...
I can't get away from it. I do love it, but we have a lot of fun. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard to call it work.
But just tell us about a track. Pick one as a sample.
Let me pick one. So let me pick one. Let me go to... let's actually go to sounds. I feel the right one's going to be Sounds of Transformation. Let me just grab it.
Okay.
You know, this is what I would call this is the healing music or the music nutrition sounds. What I have done though is each of the frequencies that I've placed into these, I've also put into other albums, which are the albums as an artist on iTunes. So that to influence the music in a positive way. So putting that little particle or frequency in. So let's go for Sounds of Transformation. This is something that one might use when they're feeling that communication is challenged. They want to release frustration. They want to release disappointment, moving sadness from your heart back into being able to speak about it. This is really good for dissolving differences when one is feeling unjust, unfair, seeing right and wrong everywhere, feeling like my way or the highway, feeling that life is hard and rigid and not quite finding their flow or flexibility. Also possibly experiencing that either I give too much or not enough because I'm either too flexible or too rigid. So this is a really good one for when moving through being aware of disappointment or being aware of I'm just not expressing myself or communicating effectively. So you'd put this on, you might use it 5 days in a row. It's about 70 minutes, so you could use it while you're sleeping, or really great to use the headphones, because each of the music nutrition tracks, all of them, there's going to be 12 in total to represent the scale from C to C, also the emotions, the chakras, the organs, the vowel sounds, and the frequencies. Now, this frequency is, this one is in the key of F sharp, and the frequency is the 639 hertz. And those frequencies are embedded. And what I would say is that they're not always pleasant. Like the frequencies, sometimes there are certain frequencies in this music can even be irritating. And I've worked with people who've gone, I just hate that track right now. You know, but like I put it on last week and I was in love with it, you know, so... and some people still swear by the original series that they would use to help their kids sleep. You know, so mums would originally use this because it was helping soothe their kids, and it wasn't just the generic white noise washing machine or driving in a car sounds that they were buying, So what was particularly important about creating these series is that the power of the human voice. Now, that is something that as a mother, I'm not a mother yet, but you, Beck, as a mum, and working with mums who grow business and babies at the same time, it's the power in your voice. You have a frequency in your voice that is the number one calming thing for your child, and was when it was in the womb state. So what these sounds, there are specific melodies in each track that bring you back to the pre-linguistic phases while still being in the womb. And so when that activates the nervous system, it reactivates for people the parasympathetic nervous system so that they can activate the rest and recuperate response. So there's so much they all work to calm and slow the brain down, yet increase focus. Some are more alpha, delta wave. The waves some differ, but each CD does have the binaural beats and the sounds that will help you maximize healing and create flow in your life. If you're able to become aware of the state that you're in through the chart or something, then I find that the awareness with the experience creates a more profound effect.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly why we created the Grow Project in terms of the Grow Lab, which you will be on stage with us at the Grow Lab, and that exact thing. So we can raise the awareness, but then there's the actual experience of it as well. And so I do look forward to people seeing you on stage there.
Oh, I think it'll be an amazing experience. Sorry.
You go.
I was going to say music, even though these are slightly prescriptive, because some people go in looking for, I need relief, I just want to fall asleep. This was created for that, so that people could have a go-to and relate to what was going on for them. But the take-home that I'd love to share with people is that you know yourself and what makes you feel good. You know what music makes you feel good. So sometimes you'll need to choose music to be the soundtrack to you being so focused and delivering the best thing you've ever delivered. And other times it'll just be, I need to get out of this anger and I need to move out of sadness, So you can use music, whatever vibes with you is right for you. And everyone has the power to choose that.
I think it's incredibly powerful, the music nutrition side of things. I know you have many strings in your bow, and you are absolutely amazing at creating and ensuring that the heartbeat behind brands in business are there. Today, though, I just wanted to bite off the entree of music nutrition, because I think it's something really practical that people can take into their lives. And whether they are working with you and working on the strategy side or as a consultant or not, they're actually able to tap into this and access it. I think in terms of the practical nature of it, Ani, one of your comments around our discussion the other day was, what mistakes do you consistently see people making? And there was 3 key ones. And the first one was that people have the same habits and they expect a different outcome. And I think this gives them a really practical tool where they can actually simply break a habit with these simple pieces as part of that stepping stone. And the other 2 were very much around suppressing expression and not really saying what they really think. And I would love to explore those further on a podcast in the future, because we are getting close to time. So I would love to have you on the podcast chatting around those things and expression and what that means for fueling business leaders and fueling business and the growth of business when those leaders really feel that they do have a true and strong voice.
100%. I really believe in supporting the game changers, people with big voice, big vision. It keeps me really excited and keeps me on my toes. So being around game changers, I couldn't ask for anything more. And doing it with music and singing and retraining the brain using kinesiology, we're all just having fun. So I feel really blessed. And I really want to thank you for hosting this space, because it's quite an intense for 7 days. A lot of speakers, a lot of this is an amazing, amazing project. So well done, Beck. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It is an absolute treat to have you on and to have you sharing music nutrition with more people. Your website is looking amazing. If for no other reason, jump across to music-nutrition.com and check out Ani's amazing what-if statements. Just the vision and the frame to think, what if your life was like that? And we'll send out, of course, the links to your site. We will send out people how they can download their track that you have offered, and also for them to take you up on the opportunity to actually speak with you on the phone or however you're going to run it, but speak with you about which state they're in and how they could consider how they can navigate a path forward. And of course, you and I will be on stage for the Grow Lab, which is a very exciting one-day event. You are going to be our composer for the day and to compose the score for the day, and we will be able to talk about energy during the day as well as chatting with our audience. So thank you again for joining us. Now, it would be wrong if I didn't try and quickly ask you, what are your top 5 fuel sources, Ani?
Music, movement, movies, 3 M's. Music,
Nice.
movement, and movies. Movies take me into story and music land. And if I could tell you how many compositions and songs I've written based on a moving event in a movie, awesome. Music, movies, movement, breathing. And what's the 5th one? The fifth one would just be food. I love food.
Nice.
And good food.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us today. Always a pleasure to continue the conversation. You know, I have an absolute thirst for the type of information and the science and the amazement that you have. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you.
For anyone who hasn't yet jumped onto our challenge page, we'll pop the link in the live chat box for you. It's on. You can subscribe and get the full schedule, including the rest of today's interviews and links to all of the replays at RebeccaNewmanOnline.com.au/events. While you're there, you'll be able to see all of the events we've got coming up in the next couple of months, particularly the Grow Lab experience, which we've mentioned today a few times, and also the Grow Lab experiments, where we take you for a couple of hours and do something like walk through a labyrinth or go trapezing and help you understand how those things which can demonstrate your behaviours in a particular situation, how they might actually be affecting the growth of your business. Do feel free to sign up and count me in so that we can send you all the freebies. You can be eligible for prizes. You can download the printable, and all of that is on our site. Please do follow the Grow Project Journey on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We would love to have a conversation with you there. And for now, ciao. Bye, Ani.
Bye.